Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers. It is Monday, November 15th, and we're going to do some live analysis for day trading and take a look at hot spots in the markets for today. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me is Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before Brian and I jump into some potential hotspots for the markets today, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. Now, in the markets today, we are seeing some activity. Interestingly enough, it's in energy and metals, things that are certainly impacted by what's going on in the economy, supply and demand, as well as inflation and interest rates. So, first up, we're going to take a look at oil and nat gas. Oil, interestingly enough, I mean, it's been selling off. I mean, we've got now oil below $80 a barrel. You know, people were calling for $100 oil a barrel. It did try to rebound a little bit a couple of times. Brian will go through the charts. Looks like we're rolling over again, but oil is weak this morning, mostly on uh, the fact that we've got supply and expectations for demand is starting to wane. We're also seeing activity in nat gas, which I think is interesting. I mean, we're starting to finally get cold everywhere. I think we had a little bit of a cold streak. We did see nat gas gap higher on the open. It's sold off. We're going to take a look at that. Nat gas actually tried to rally back out. It's rolling over as well. But we're going to take a look at nat gas, another hot spot in the markets. The other place where we're seeing volatility are in the metals. Now, gold, we've got inflation. We've got inflation. Gold tried to sell off a little overnight, and then it completely recovered. That also has rolled over recently. I mean, everything just started to roll over as it recovered. We're going to take a peek at silver as well. Silver not behaving as well as gold. Silver actually heading lower. It sold off. It tried to climb out. It rolled over. I mean, silver is absolutely down. We're then going to punch over to the equities. We got all the equities looking to open about 0.4 to 0.5% higher. And this week is going to be retail week. We're going to tee that up because tomorrow we're going to get a glimpse of retail sales before we do this. And then there's going to be retail earnings this week. We've got uh, tomorrow is Walmart and Wednesday is Target. And with that, we're going to start to get a glimpse on how the retail consumer, how their behavior may or may not be changing in face of all of this inflation. And is that impacting earnings? So we've got a lot. This week is going to be retail week. We're definitely going to be looking at that. But Brian, let's start with energy and metals. We're starting off the week blazing. So let's take a peek with energy and metals, and then we could just kind of wrap up with a little bit of a peek over at equities.
Yeah, and Todd, I think it'll be interesting to hear what the sales look like now, because I'm already seeing all the pre-Black Friday sales. Because
Uh,
this is the time that we spend, and I don't know if you guys saw it down here. 4 stimulus checks just went out. I guess they're arriving today for a lot of people. So kind of interesting timing. The week before, all the big ones. Like I've already seen a whole lot of pre-Black Friday sales. Bam, that $550 whatever it is check is going to start hitting bank accounts. So pretty sure this will go all towards that type of spending. So the big question is, if we see lowered sales, there's going to be a lot of critique of this child tax credit, right? Um, if you don't see an uptick in sales, I mean, people with children literally got a check a week
and
before Black.
then, well,
So
yeah,
if
then
you
well,
don't spend it,
I guess they could have. The truth is then we'll find out were they using it on just on food because food prices went up so much. I mean, we're starting to
maybe,
really feel the pinch. I don't know. I
maybe,
went to the grocery store yesterday and I was actually a bit shocked. I mean, everything,
yeah.
bacon. I mean, anything.
Mhm.
It's
All the meat products, yeah, meat products
yeah.
are all there, and the vegans out there are like, yeah, it's cheaper to be vegan. It's like that's because it's like $20 a pound for steak. That's why it's cheaper. But like,
Because
good luck
people
trying
can't.
to find. I mean, vegetarian and vegan is not. I mean, fruit. You eat lots of fruit, right? Go look at fruit prices. Those are not cheap either.
No.
Grapes are twice what they used to be. Um, but again, and one of the things that people don't realize, and again, this goes directly over into oil, things like that, is you see inflation, and we knew that it was there, but a lot of the prices of food products that we purchase at a grocery store are due because of the prices of oil, because they ship it around in trucks, and that's one of the fees that is associated in there. So it kind of goes back into that big story. I know a lot of people are, it's like, oh, trickle down. Yeah, trickle down falls into everything. When you have high fuel costs and transportation costs, that gets passed down to the consumer at the end of the day. So while it's nice that everybody likes to be green, I think everybody does care about climate change. But when you're looking at oil, I don't have it up here right now, but it's over 100% of what it was last year, this time last year. And again, was $40 cheap? Yeah, $40 was probably a little bit cheap, but it's double the price now. So we're lucky that the food costs are not double what they were
They're not
before
double,
this.
right? Well,
Yeah,
it's not everything that goes into it, but yeah, it certainly has led to a chunk of
yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's one of those things. This is why you got to be careful with your policies. If they're really, really sharp, like Todd, you mentioned, you don't think that they want to do things in a sharp manner. Unfortunately, if you don't kind of get ahead of a problem, it snowballs into a huge problem. And again, having oil up where it is right now,
Yeah,
kind of a huge problem. It's pulling back, and again, all eyes are on oil. The entire world has basically said this is getting ridiculous.
yeah,
And
$80 a barrel is it's crazy, and there's
yeah,
people
and it's
calling for 100. I mean,
yeah, and
please.
it's under. I mean, and again, it's under the focus of every single country in the world. They're talking about it, G20 and things like that, and it's great. And again, there's got to be steps. There's got to be steps. We can start by reducing this. We can start by reducing this. We can start transitioning this. But just canceling things like pipelines and that, and again, the world is going to use oil, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, there are organizations out there that are going to try to profit from this, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So, thankfully, in the overnight, I mean, oil is pulled down again. We mentioned last week that really we didn't really see any buying coming in until about 79.20ish level. I mean, really, it's kind of a big region over here where we've seen kind of buying, basing, coming down, testing again at 79.30, coming down, testing at 79, like 31ish, 32ish. So again, in the overnight, I mean, really, we ended the week or up here. We kind of had a gap down, and then just continued that drive. It's really kind of where it's right where we started on Friday. So I wouldn't say that it's really anything. I mean, yeah, it's trending lower, but we know we got a lot of buyers coming in lower. We've seen this come in the past where when oil gets beat up over the weekend on Sunday night, U.S. oil firms step in Monday morning. You're like, oh, no, 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 no. So the way that it's looking right now, I would say that's probably setting up more for a long right now than anything else. As you said, it is cold, but people are not heating their houses with gasoline. We have not gotten to that stage yet. But I would say right now, I mean, this is definitely a push straight down. And again, as we see things step in, the U.S. traders step in, the U.S. tends not to like when oil prices go down. Or at least the oil industry does not. Couple that with what we just saw with Empire State Manufacturing, again blowing the number out. Supposed to be 22, came in at 30.9. That's a nice little jump. Again, that's a big jump in manufacturing. So it's hard to say that demand is going down when you have such a huge miss to the top side with manufacturing. So, I would say right now, again, there are a few decent levels below. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of push down and test a little bit. Just one
So
of those things.
you're looking for some support down there at some point.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, like I said, they've been there in the past. The last time I was down here, we had a really, really strong push.
Yep.
And I'll do a horizontal line. You can see that group came in right here. So we're literally right below. And again, we're so close right now. We're talking about 40 cents. It
Yep.
moves that in the next 30 minutes in preparation for the open. I would say probably look for long opportunities today. And again, it's not, no crystal ball guys, not trade recommendations. It's just we've seen this, concerted kind of push to the downside.
And
Data
then,
looks great, and we have buyers. So we're kind of stacking some odds in our favor here.
all right, let's jump over to Nat Gas. Let's take a look there.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to turn my heater on this weekend.
Yeah, but you don't turn your heater on until it gets to like 30, Todd.
Yeah,
That's not quite fair,
when it dropped to 60 degrees in the house, my wife
Yeah.
and I decided to go ahead and turn it on.
Yeah, I mean, we knew this was a level. We had a little bit of a jump, and again, we were expecting some type of movement. If you guys remember last week, it was Russia's like, "Hey, if Belarus isn't going to send it, we'll send you guys natural gas." Again, remember I talked about those powers that will profit from anything they can. That would be one of those groups. Again, they're one of the major players inside of OPEC Plus that have held back the cuts. Again, supposedly we're out of oil, but we know we're actually not out of oil. We've had surplus every single week. But the narrative is what matters. The narrative is that we don't have oil. We can't get it anywhere. People are not looking at the underlying causes of it.
Nat Gas.
Yet oil, natural gas has been a byproduct of it, and again has come under light. Natural gas is up. It says it's up 1.3. Really, what happened is, I mean, we're just slightly above where we were on Friday. We closed here. We gapped up into a level, which again was decent selling. This was an area we took a bounce off of. I can move that, but place it up here, and there would have been your Sunday night gap, right, with natural gas. Okay, now again, I typically will use that in currencies, not natural gas, but it's the same setup. Came up, found a level, right? Came up, found them, and then pushed it all the way back down. We knew we had buyers sitting there. It hit again. We had this level marked off last week at 475. All it did was turn off of that, and now it's pushed higher. And it's kind of in between. It's open, and it's kind of it's it's weekend kind of high price. So I would say right now, natural gas will probably pull back down. Again, it's only up 0.6 right now. It was up a bit more than that before. The big question is, are we going to make it all the way down to 462? We'll see. Again, it will get a little bit of a push with the open. Question is it going to be more of a negative push to the downside? It's not getting any help from gold or silver right now, so it's kind of one of those things. It's a Monday morning. We'll see what the really kind of concerted push is. I would say natural gas is definitely something that has been under. I mean, a couple different, people in kind of the industry have made comments about it. It's definitely too high. There's absolutely nothing out there that
No
can
reason
justify it.
for to spike
And
to where it did.
this is the difference between oil, which is considered a foreign import, even though we export tons of it, versus natural gas, which is a homegrown product.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends that are in kind of manufacturing and textiles, and they say, "Hey, you don't want any supply chain issues? Buy American, because we don't have any supply chain issues because we bring cotton in from North Carolina, we mill it, we build it, we send it right back out again, and
Right.
never
It's not
gets
coming
overseas."
through the ports on containers.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
right.
and natural gas is that equivalent. It is
Right.
a U.S. based product. Us
So-
and Russia. Trust me, we're not buying it from Russia. We're keeping it. So we'll see. And like I said, I think we'll hear a little bit more about oil. We'll see what kind of pressure comes in at the open. But I think both those matter. But right now, it's not being driven by any of the major factors out there. When I say major factors, again, gold is basically
Supply.
flat. Yep.
Yeah.
Gold is basically flat. We're not really doing much. It kind of pushed down and then pulled right back up in the overnight. We talked about having a weak dollar. Silver right now, again, we know there's a lot of inflation, but silver is still bouncing back and forth with that channel. We were looking for 25.43, and literally it came back down and grabbed this. And again, this is where we had this is our gap. Right here was Friday, and then right here is where we opened. We pulled up and we're pushing back down. And again, we all know inflation's here. And again, we can say this is truly a non-inflationary play because even Bitcoin and Ethereum's up a bit, but Bitcoin's absolutely flat. 0.01 right now is what it's at. So, even, and Dogecoin is down. Ethereum's up, but again, they had some news. So again,
Yeah, I just find that, I mean, silver is obviously, there's a lot of people trading that. Gold, I mean, it is a bit of a barometer for what's going on with inflation, and we are seeing, gold it couldn't get out of,
Yeah.
down below around 1700. It couldn't get out of its own way, and here we are,
Yeah. I mean,
approaching.
and remember, gold is the
1900.
institutional way to play inflation. So again, at 1864 last week, we were talking about breaking 1800. So it is substantially higher. Remember, silver is the non-institutional way to play inflation, just like the cryptos are. So right now we're seeing those go down. And again, talking about projections, remember, we are now halfway through November. All the Wall Street bets and all the people that were going to take down Wall Street said $100 by the end of the year. Okay, we're at $25 flat right now. We got a month and a half to go. So I forget what it is. And then somebody else was also saying Bitcoin. I have a friend that's very, very into it, and I'm always
100,000.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 100,000. And what he said, he made a comment, to this guy that he likes to quote all the time. And the guy's like, "Oh, 100,000 by the end of the year, guys." And the guy's like, "Well, if that was the case, it needs to go up $2,800 every day for the next 2 weeks. Why are we getting stuck around 65,000?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear this answer." He hasn't responded yet. I don't know why, but technically, Bitcoin needs to be up $2,800 every day from now to the end of the year to get up to 100,000. So it's easy in a lot of these arenas, guys, just to throw out these gigantic, lofty numbers out here. Oil this to get headlines.
Right.
But the reality is they're all supply and demand driven. Right now, even in the most volatile things, we're not seeing it. Manufacturing is telling us that it's good. Fed is losing credibility over its inflation narrative. Yeah, but we've been seeing that. And at the same time, remember, this is one of those things. There's a lot of emphasis on, Powell's doing the wrong thing. Right now, nobody's happy. Biden's approval rating is as low as it's ever been. It's the lowest he's ever been. Republicans are now showing to win the next election. First time in like 20 years, as far as what all the polls are showing. Everyone's like, let's replace Powell. But the problem with replacing Powell is if you try to place all blame on him and put a Democrat Fed president in, now you're a Democrat across the board. And if it's bad, it's going to be a clean sweep all the way fully back Republican again. So they got to be careful with that too. So there's a lot involved. So I would say right now, guys, look to see what that opening kind of print does. There's the equities are all looking to be green as they should be.
Yeah, they're all about 0.4% right now. And then obviously it's going to get interesting tomorrow and the rest and the midweek with all the retail information. But yeah, what are we looking at today?
I would say, this is on a 30. I'll bring it down to 15. The last time we were up here at 4,700, price got turned away very, very fast. Twice, actually. So again, ES is at a level where we're kind of seeing the manufacturing looks good, but we just need one bad headline for this to turn and roll. So ES is kind of in a precarious position right now, right? NQ has popped above that, the level we talked about here. And again, it rode it. It got turned away here. It rode it, hit it again, and then finally
went
popped through. We're kind of there's a one little kind of hiccup, and we're kind of like right at that hiccup level right now. It's from there to there. You can see we just kind of bounced off the hiccup, so it's also NQ is also in that position. But the good thing about this one is if it goes any higher right now, if it goes through the 16,
room to go.
we got a racetrack here, guys, all the way up to 16,359. So I would say of all of them, this one looks like it's if it can just get a little bit of a push to break through this little pothole right here, we look to be good. YM, same thing. You look over here, last time the price was up in this level, it turned and rolled. You can see that there was kind of the big point, and that's exactly what we just went off of. So kind of the same thinking. And then Russell does its thing. This one got pushed down, not quite all the way to 3-1, but it pushed all the way down twice. And then again, just broke slightly above. And again, it's a little bit higher, but again, this one is typically a little bit more insulated from inflation numbers. So
perfect.
We'll see.
All right. Well, with that, any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Brian is also accessible. You can email Brian if you've got questions, support@keeptradingsimple.com. What are we seeing? We're seeing the hot spots today, energies and metals. It's a supply issue, a demand issue in the energies, and then inflation in the metals, definitely with gold. And we're seeing equities looking to open in the green, which will be nice. It'll be a nice change of pace. I know we had a little bit of a rough week last week, but we are going to get a glimpse this week into the retail situation with retail sales tomorrow morning, right before we go on. And then we're going to get earnings out of some big retailers Tuesday and tomorrow and Wednesday. So we'll see how the retail customers behaving and how they're changing or not changing some of their behavior in the face of inflation. With that, Brian and I will catch you again tomorrow morning. Good luck in the markets, everyone. Thanks for joining.